All right, Aldemar, I think we are live.
Right now.
Exciting, yeah?
That's a good one, man. Would
Just
be
making
great. Sorry?
just making sure you muted the YouTube video so
Yeah,
that
but I go now with the YouTube live, all right, man?
yes. We're trying to figure this technology out. I think we did it well though.
Okay, 1 second. I did yesterday, but I hope today I can do it like normal.
I think you're
Yeah,
good.
I guess it's coming there.
I think we are good.
All right, I there. So I will put mute in YouTube live.
We are live.
Muted the YouTube video so that.
Yep. That's cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of old SMP artists trying to figure out how to stream on YouTube. But I think we did it, Aldemar. I think we did it. And I'm very excited to do this. You're my first guest on our YouTube live series. So clap that up for you, Aldemar. Are you nervous?
No, to be honest, it's quite, usual to do some short videos. So we see what happened in this one.
Yes, we go way back. I want to introduce everyone on our channel, Scalp Micro USA, to the Aldemar Campos Jara.
Yeah.
Aldemar Campos Jara. This is Aldemar Campos, and an amazing and long tenured scalp micropigmentation artist by way of, Colombian by way of UK, by way of Spain, right? So Aldemar, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started in all this, how long ago you had SMP, how your journey was and where you are now and what you're doing.
All right, thanks, Matt. All right, to be honest, I can say something a little, my background, I'm industrial designer. And after that, obviously, I'm from Colombia, so I moved to England. Then, I don't know, in the early, it's like 2008, 2007, I guess I met one guy, he was working with SMP. So that was the time I started, to be honest, first. So I got the treatment. Then happened is this fella invited me to work in his company. That was an English company. So I was working from 2009 was involved. Yeah, 2010, I was in London, 2010, 11, I was in New York and everywhere. When the time I met you, Matt, and that was the time. Yeah.
That was around 2010, 2011. I remember spending time with you in London and learning the craft. You were a bit ahead of me. You were about a half a year ahead of me. So if you want to pull the seniority card, I think you win there. But yeah, so from there, I know that's when we met, and you've been doing this now over 10 years. Where do you currently work? Tell everyone where your clinics are and how many clients you're seeing a day.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Actually, I'm right now in Madrid, in Spain. And obviously, I'm running the big clinic here. That is the head office. Obviously, I work as well in Barcelona. Barcelona, I work like a couple of times in the month. But the principal place is Madrid. I work like 5 or 6 days a day. Usually, we treat like 2 or 3 clients, And also, I work in Colombia too. But
in Colombia.
Yeah, man, you love Colombia, no?
I love Colombia. Me amo Colombia.
Yeah, I know. Actually, hopefully this year we can do some treatment in Colombia. So I'm so excited with Colombia because it's my country, and to be honest, doing the procedure there is fantastic, man.
Yeah. Is it? You've been in Spain now for what? It's got to be 6 years, 7 years now.
Yeah, right now from 2012. That will be 8 years right now in Spain.
We're so old. We're so old. You're a little older than me, but we're very old.
Just a little.
Is it very, very popular in Spain, in España?
To be honest, you know what? I can say something. When I came here, no one know about the technique. I was one of the guys, try to explain to the people about the procedure, SMP, how that work, how that is around the world. And to be honest, right now is a good population doing this, and it's amazing because I was the one that started with the business here in Spain. It's good.
You were the first, right?
Yes, I was
the first. Yeah, It's been a while. So for the audience that's watching, Aldemar and I go way back, about 10 years now. So we were one of the earlier people doing this when it was still very new. I met Aldemar in the UK because that is where this was first really commercialized. And we have some good friends over in the UK. And I was helped to learn this technique by Aldemar and others in the UK, Paul, Damon, all those great guys over in the UK. And then Aldemar and I actually were some of the earliest practitioners here in the US. Remember in New York, we opened live in New York, first clinic in New York City.
Yeah, I remember that. We did that together.
Yeah, Aldemar was a much younger man in New York City loving it, right?
Yeah, I remember. Good times, mate.
We'll keep some of those stories off the live stream, but yeah, and I think what we want to do here is just get a lot of people familiar and answer some questions for those that are just getting in. I think we have a nice mix of both artists that are either just starting their career, and we remember what that was like, and we have a lot of clients that have some questions that are looking into the procedure, and who better to answer their questions than you and I. So let's get to it, man. I look at this. We already got some good questions. Let's see if we could talk about some cool topics. So let's see what we got first. Rob the Realtor is asking, how long does it last and how much is a touch-up? So I can go first, Aldemar, and then I'd like you to give me your opinion.
Please.
Aldemar, you've had that treatment on your head, which is looking really good, my friend. How long have you had it, and when was your last touch-up?
I got the treatment about 2008, 2009, to be honest. Last touch-up, you did the last touch-up. That was in 2016.
That's right. We have a video of that too. That's back in the archives. And that's the last one you've done, and it's held well. So what I tell clients is they should expect the treatment to hold, and it depends on the skin. It depends on their immune system. It depends how much sunlight they're getting on a regular basis. But when the job is done right, I usually say you're looking at least 4 to 6 years before you need to do a touch-up. Is that pretty right for you?
Yeah, mate, I would say the same. To be honest, the treatment never disappeared. What can happen is coming a little light after years, It's all right.
When we did your touch-up, it was still there. It just was a little softer, and you want to keep looking fresh and as young as possible, Aldemar. I know that.
Please.
Do you ever see, and we get this in New York, clients that want to come back every couple years and they don't necessarily need it, but sometimes they just want you to have a look at it?
Yeah.
Or is that just my is that just my American clients that are a little
that's quite the same like in Europe, some clients they want every year, come to the clinic for say hello or maybe for a little touch-up. For my point of view, it's not necessary. I would say the hello, yes, that's fine, but the touch-up maybe after 3 years. Obviously, it depends about the skin. This is oily skin, there's so many issues about the skin type,
Yeah, I just did a video about skin and why that's so important. I always say that the skin is our canvas. If we're scalp artists and painters, then the skin is what is our canvas, and that will determine sometimes the longevity of the treatment, how many sessions you might need, which we could talk about a little bit later about the treatment process. You and I have very similar techniques. I mean, we learn the same, but there are probably some slight differences, which is cool because every artist might have their own approach. The fundamentals are the same, but we all have our own little approach to scalp micropigmentation. We're getting a lot of good questions here, Aldemar. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, man. It's 60. It's like the hot seat here. Let's see what we got. Along with the touch-ups, people ask, after you do your touch-up, it's kind of the same question we just answered, but after you do a touch-up, do you continue to have to do touch-ups? My opinion is you will eventually need to do follow-up touch-ups, but I have found in my personal experience, after I've had my touch-up, I've got an even longer period to do a touch-up. So where I said originally it was like 4 to 6 years, I might be able to go even longer now because there was still a base treatment, and then we did the touch-up. And so I feel like it almost lasts even a bit longer after that. What do you feel?
I would say the same, Matt. It's always the same. It's not necessarily like regular touch-ups. It's like is honest, you better you wait, for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years, and we see you needed maybe a little touch up on the crown. Who knows?
That's what I say. I always say that it's actually good to let it fade out a little bit. You don't want to overwork the skin, because then you get that, anytime you overwork skin, we want to make this look as natural as possible. And if you keep adding pigment, it might not look as natural as possible. So there's a balance, and less is more, right?
That's my observation, because we don't want if you do like many touch-ups, after you will lose your natural color or your shave look.
Yeah. What do you shave with? How do you shave?
I shave with the Remington R91, the old one.
Still? Oh man,
I still got it one, man. Still
Remington 91. That's a good plug. We were using that back in the day. That's the
You remember?
It's like the rotary shaver. It's like a 2 or 3 head rotary. Oh, so you're afraid of change. You don't like changing. Why change something that works, I guess, right?
Yeah. You know what? Is that worked for me? That's still using it, man.
And tell the audience, because you got a good looking treatment. I'd like to think that I helped with that a little bit, but what kind of hairline would you consider that you have?
Well, when I started, I go like the defined line, right? The defined line. Then I changed for a broken line, to be honest,
And what's a broken line mean? Yeah.
The broken line, like is the way is not like too strong. The little dogs is in disorder, irregular line. Yes. Then when you did my touch-up in 2016, we didn't touch too much the front line, because in my point of view, you're getting older. So I want the proper resident natural line, go a little back. That would be perfect.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just at a high level, there's a lot of different types of styles of hairlines we can do, different shapes. I have a little bit of more of like a peak with some recession. Yours is a bit more rounded. But when Aldemar mentions broken, what that means is we're not, and we never really ever trace the line. We never want to do that, right? So what we're looking to do is stagger and scatter the pigment a little bit in an irregular way so that it looks natural, as if you're just cutting your hair. Because most people don't just have a very sharp hairline across the head, okay, right? Hair doesn't usually grow that way. So there's differences between the shapes and also the styles, whether you want more defined or a more broken, as we call it. And that's what you would ask your practitioner, and they can help you identify what's going to be a good hairline for yourself. Here's a cool one. And, we could have a talk about this. I think it's gonna be really cool for the audience. Edson asked if there's really any difference in terms of style and technique in the way SMP is done in America versus Europe.
Yeah.
I'm wondering.
I would say yes. It's a different styles. Like, America, I was living there in New York and LA, and also I understand the styles. It's like some of the clients, they want to follow some, I don't know, some maybe Nicky Jam, for example. Maybe it's too defined from my point of view, but in Europe, the people prefer like more like, it's natural in America, but here it's like more like receding line, broken line, irregular lines, not too, I would say not too strong, for the finish and touches. That would be Europe. The difference with Europe, mate. That would be.
I think I even see it because we have clinics in New York, Texas, and Los Angeles, and we even see a difference city-wise. You miss LA. I know Aldemar and I were out in LA for a while too, doing treatments. We got to do maybe a tour when COVID's away. We'll do
why not?
rock tour, scalp rock tour. We'll invite some friends.
Yeah,
that could be fun. But I even notice a difference in cities, in regions, in different cultures. Different ethnicities. There's different style requests, different darkness requests. I think something we talked about off camera, and I think it's cool to mention, is this is done in multiple sessions. And this is really important, that scalp is done in not just one session. It really can't be done in just one session, right? For many, right? Yeah, the way the skin heals, the way we want to make sure that we're not being over aggressive on the first session. I typically do 2 to 3 sessions. I'd say those first 2 sessions, we typically space about 15, 20 days sometimes. I'd say maybe about 50% of my clients come back for a third. Yours is about more or less the same. You have a slightly different approach, but you're still doing those 2, sometimes 3 sessions, right?
Yeah. Actually, I do the same like you. I do like 2 sessions. Obviously, maybe the 3rd session because we want the client be very happy with the finished touches. But also, I do like between 2 or 3 weeks between the first and the 2nd session. But also, it's important to understand it's not about the procedure. We say 2, 3 sessions. We have to understand as well the type of the skin. You know, some skin is very difficult about the oily skin. You know, if you have alopecia areata, the very, very delicate skin. So we know that we can say it's only 2 sessions. Maybe we will be like 4 sessions or 5 sessions. Who knows? We need to start and we will see what happens, you know.
See what the skin gives us. And that's why you want to go to an experienced practitioner that knows how to deal with different skin. We see things like psoriasis, dermatitis. Let's talk a little bit about hair transplants. I see a question about from Caveman. I want to maybe Fraxel laser on my scars before treatment. How long should I wait for micro? So we could first answer that question. You know, let's start, you know, at the beginning. We do a lot of hair transplant clients, right? Do you do that as well in Spain? Guys that have had hair transplants, maybe aren't happy with the results and want treatment? Yeah.
We go a lot here because it's, you know, it's like very, very, we have to understand when you lose your hair, what you wanted. You want a hair back, you know? So the very quick is like, for example, hair transplants. It's like very good doctors here in Spain. And also we have like Turkey, it's very close. And everyone go there, you know, it's very famous for different doctors or talking about the price or whatever.
I've heard that you can go to Istanbul and go to a part and just see men wrapped with bandages over their head from transplants.
Yeah, man, it's in Istanbul. It's very fashion here to fly there, man. It's very popular.
And so they come to us because, you know, at least what we see is typically they're either not fully satisfied with the hair transplant or they want to add more density. And then there's also the scar factor, right? And while the surgeons are definitely getting better for the most part on making sure those scars are as minimal as possible, if you want to cut short, you're going to expose it. So we do see a lot of, you know, FUT scars, the strip scars, as well as the FUE, those little small puncture scars. And to answer your question directly, Mr. K-Man, if the scar is not healed properly, if it's red, if it's raised, if it's not great in color, if it's not white or flesh in color, then things like Fraxel or laser resurfacing of the scar can definitely help. And I would recommend if you're going to do that, you're going to need to do a few sessions. And I would wait at least probably 6 to 8 weeks after your final session before we can go into that scar. But always email whoever your practitioner is photos, and they can give you an assessment to see if the scar is going to be a good for treatment, right?
Yeah, that's the answer, mate. That's a good one.
Let's see what else we got. I know someone off camera asked let me see if I could share my screen real quick with you guys. Where was the question about, here, where was it? I have some of these questions up. Something about Colombia. What were they asking you in Colombia there?
Colombia, what I see, when would be, I saw that one early. They will say, when would be in Colombia? Okay.
Yeah, when will you be in Colombia? I know Colombia.
Yeah, I will answer that in Spanish, man, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great, you know. Honestamente, yo todos los años voy a Colombia. Every year I try to go to Colombia, but 2020 I couldn't. So this year, I hope so. I will be in about, I don't know, if everything will be right, I will be in about 1 month and a half. I will be for 2 months, I guess. So we see. Estaré en Colombia, tal vez en 2 meses, posiblemente me quedaré 2 meses realizando procedimientos, ya que tengo bastantes clientes represados porque no los pude hacer en el año 20, pero espero de verdad que este año lo pueda hacer. So I hope we'll see you guys in Colombia. So anything you write to my mail, and wherever, we can do like video call and we answer about your possible procedure. All right, mate? See you in Colombia very soon. And Matt, you will come with me.
Yo quiero ir.
Perfecto. We can do it, mate. And we manage everything, mate. We'll be fun, mate.
Do it. You'll be my translator. I love it in Colombia. And then I'm sure people also want to, anybody in Europe, you do have a lot of great artists there, but if you're in Spain or around Spain, Aldemar is great, but we'll talk more. We'll promote him a little more at the end. I have a really good question here, maybe one that you can help answer. Jason asked that he has very thin and gray. He's starting to turn gray. So hair is like salt and pepper. So can SMP still work? I figure I ask you because I think you're probably all gray over there, old man, right?
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
Obviously, I would say the answer is for any age. Is doesn't matter if you go like gray hair, mate. I go gray hair too. All this side on the sides is all gray hair. What happened with the SMP? We can manage to do a perfect dog. Light color would be in the scale of gray color, you know, and it would be beautiful. I do all the time, like guys between 45 and 55, you know. Always I look like the color very, I go very light with the gray color, and it's made. It's fantastic, you know. Try, please. Doesn't matter. You go gray color. If your hair is very thin, doesn't matter, mate. That will work. All right.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I always tell my clients, one, we've been doing thousands and thousands of clients. Go look outside. Go find 50 men. You'll see that probably if they're over the age of a certain, 30 or something, you're going to see that there's probably some salt and pepper and gray. Most men do get some grays. I'm starting to get them in my beard a little bit. I'm gonna maybe dye it like you, but yeah. But we work with black pigment and we work to dilute that pigment. And when you dilute black, we're working in gray scale, right? So we're basically creating different shades of gray. Yeah. Not 50 shades of gray, but different shades of gray.
But also it's not only about the color. Obviously it's a black color, but it's all about the technique. It's how you put the needle into your skin. With one color, you can make like 5 different colors, mate. That's the technique,
Yeah. It's absolutely what we train on. And we can go into the grays and strengthen it with a little bit more of the pepper part of the salt, right? Or add density where needed. And if you have thin hair, no worries. That means we're just going to blend a little bit more to offset what we do on the top. So absolutely, we work with gray hair. We do it all the time. It's not going to be a problem. Tony G asked that maintenance, he's heard that skin maintenance and care is very important to help with SMP. So I'm thinking, we could talk a little bit about what our routine is and how we care for it. Do we moisturize? What kind of soaps or shampoos do you use? What do you do? I mean, you've had it, we've had it for so long on our heads. What does your routine look like?
You ask me, yes?
Yeah.
All right, Matt. My routine is very simple, mate. I don't do nothing, to be honest, out of the normal day, have a shower, I use a little shampoo on my head and that's all, mate. And every day, between one day yes, one day no, I shave with the Remington R91, and that's all, mate. Sometimes I use maybe a little cream because it's too, no oily, the opposite of oily, how do you say? It's dry. Dry skin, yeah, man.
Why don't you say it in Espanol? You could speak in Espanol. I know we have a lot of...
el mantenimiento que usualmente hago es casi nada, solamente después de la ducha, durante la ducha uso un poquito de shampoo, muy poco, ¿ok? Y luego ya, cuando queda un poco reseco, lo hidrato con alguna crema, muy sutil, pero no todos los días para no acostumbrarlo. Es lo que hago, es muy simple. Cuidado con el sol, eso sí. Yo trato de usar gorra cuando hay un sol fuerte o utilizo alguna crema para protegerme del sol. It's very important to remember to every client this is you have to protect about the sun. Doesn't matter is the sun, has sun. I mean, any place around the world, the sun is dangerous, mate. You have to protect with sunscreen and also with a hat. Always my recommendation, always with a hat, you are on the beach, mate.
Especially when you're partying over in Ibiza.
In Ibiza, yes, that's true, man.
Yeah, I get asked a lot about the sun. And look, you do this treatment so you don't have to worry. So you don't have to worry about putting so much product or worry if your hair is blowing in the wind. But I always say good skincare is good SMP care. So, you know, what I do is I'll buzz my hair. I use the Andes Tea Outliner. We use that here. A lot of guys like that one. And I do that twice, sometimes 3 times a week, but mostly twice a week. After that, in the winter months, I'll add a little moisturizer. We just came out, shameless plug, but we just came out with a moisturizer for the scalp called Follicule. I'll put a thing in the link here. But I moisturize after anytime I shave or shower. And during the summer, I bring some sunscreen on. I'll either put the sunscreen or I'll rotate a hat on and off. Doesn't mean you can't get a little sun. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy the good weather, but just don't burn. You don't want to burn your scalp repeatedly because then you're damaging the skin, hence damaging possibly the SMP, making it fade quicker.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Beautiful. Here's a good one from Dan Beckley. Do you SMP the whole head or just the top? Or does it depend? And that's a great question because a lot of people want to know if we just do this area, if we do the whole head. How would you answer that, Aldemar?
Yeah, I would say all depends about your Norwood area, you know. My recommendation is
Norwood scale.
Say we only do pigmentation in the area that you know go hair. For example, my Norwood hair is like number 7, you know. It's all on the top and a little on the crown. And that's all, you know. My existing hair is still there. So what happens is they blend into my hair and that's all. Obviously, I suggest that. Or depends. If you go like very gray hair, well, maybe we blend in a little bit to the bottom. Maybe. So all depends, you know.
Right.
What do you do, Matt?
That's it. We have to look at your Norwood level. If you guys aren't familiar, I'm sure you've seen graphics of this, but you can always Google Norwood scale, NORWOOD scale. And this is a classification of hair loss from the early stages to all gone, okay? And everywhere in between. And depending on your hair loss level is going to depend where we apply the pigment. We're always going to go in the areas that are thinning, that are bald, that are miniaturizing. And then we're always going to blend a little bit into the existing hair as we can to make sure that it's seamless and to make sure in case you lose a little bit more hair that you'll still have coverage. But we don't typically do a whole head because we don't want to darken areas that already have a lot of hair, right? So that'd be a losing game. So the only time we would do that is if you suffer from like an alopecia areata, alopecia totalis.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be a universal alopecia or it would be an areata. Yes, it depends. Obviously, it depends as well for the skin type because I got many clients that was using a hair system, you know, and they make it from the bottom, so they lose all the hair around here. So we have to see the case. You know, I got many clients, you know, they wanted more. I say, mate, it's not necessary. You go, you 16 hair, we use it, you know, for the blending process, and that's fine. You don't need it, mate.
Right. Have you done it? I haven't. If anybody has alopecia out there, it's been about 3 or 4 months since I've had an alopecia client. They're big sessions, but I kind of miss doing it.
Universal alopecia?
Yeah, I haven't done one in a few months now.
All right. Don't call them. I'm joking. It's too hard job, man, to be honest.
They're big jobs, but they're really rewarding because you can see a difference.
Yeah. It's a great, you know, a great congratulations back, you know.
If you have alopecia, come to me or you go to Aldemar. Aldemar is a little bit older, so he's going to have to take more breaks, but you'll be fine. Here, we got a question from, I think, actually, I believe Bryant did training with me years ago, which is really cool. Do you recommend, do you use different gauge needles in different parts of the head, or do you typically stay with the same gauge and type of needle throughout the head?
That's a question for you, guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Bryant, I would say that I typically will I don't really switch around my size needles. I typically will use the same gauge throughout the scalp. Now, it depends sometimes on a client, depends on the skin. There's a couple of different gauges we use. One's a little tighter than the other, depending how thick the skin is, but I'm not typically using different gauges. I'm changing my hand pressure usually, or my softness.
It's
right?
a very good answer, Matt. You know, I interrupt you here. You know, it's about the pressure, mates. The technique is about the pressure with the needle. You know, you can use the same needle and you can make different levels of the side of the dog, you know? It's a technique, mates.
Aldemar, I have a question from Ivan, and maybe you can answer this one in Spanish. In your opinion, what is, I believe Ivan does work in South or Central America, I'm not sure. What is the best way to attract more Spanish customers to do SMP? And I guess you could answer that just in general from both a professional standpoint, but also what is a good way to kind of show the Spanish culture that this is a great treatment for them? And you can answer that in Spanish.
In English or in Spanish?
Spanish, you can do that one in Spanish for sure.
Oh,
you're español.
Hola, español. Ok, acuerdo. Bueno, con esta respuesta realmente es fácil, es muy fácil. Todo es acerca hoy día con las redes sociales. Bueno, ya además de lo que tenemos en el 20, entonces nos obliga más a fortalecer nuestras redes sociales. ¿Sí? Es mostrar nuestros trabajos, mostrar siempre un antes, un después, para que la gente crea en esto. Mira, cuando yo llegué a España en el 2012, nadie hacía micropigmentación capilar, no creían en esto. Entonces me tocó un poco duro para enseñar a la gente que esto funcionaba, ¿cierto? Hoy día, todos los que están empezando, muy bien, porque ya lo tienen algo fácil, ya la gente cree en esto. Simplemente es mirar con qué técnico, con qué especialista lo van a hacer, ¿cierto? Eso es muy importante. Es simplemente ser ustedes, mostrar sus trabajos, ser muy honesto con la persona que le está vendiendo al procedimiento. Esto es acá o en cualquier parte del mundo funciona igual. What I say a little in English, you know, it's like when I came here in 2012, no one was doing the procedure here in Spain. That was, for me wasn't easy, to be honest. And right now, it's very easy for any company in Spain want to start doing this business and try any client, because right now the clients, they believe in the procedure. The clients, they know SMP is the good one, you know. But now the client have to decide, you know, what is the solution about your alopecia, how they do it with surgery, like hair transplant, with a system, you know, some systems, some protein, some vitamins or some pills or something, you know, they have to decide. My point of view is like always show your work, like before and later. Today, we work like this social media, you know, this is the way you have to show your job. If you can make like face-to-face, you know, and be honest with the clients, show what they can got. Obviously, I never speak bad about other procedures, like, for example, hair transplant, very good ones, you know, hair system, amazing ones. I talk about what is the solution with SMP, what they got, you know, how they will look, is the freedom, you know, something like that, mate. Be yourself, guys, you know.
Yeah, I'd say that the best part, if you're an artist and you're starting in scalp, just this treatment sells itself. You don't need to oversell it. Just talk about the benefits, compare and contrast what SMP can do versus hair transplant versus hair system. For instance, I feel, and it's true, that SMP can be a very low maintenance, cost-effective solution that doesn't require constant medications or upkeep or maintenance, as we say. So just, you know, show the pros of SMP, compare it, and it is really the client's choice. And you never want to push someone into doing it. But if they've gone through hair loss for a while and tried different solutions, SMP can be a real game changer. Really good. I see a couple fun questions here. One, better late than never. Yes, if you feel you have a big forehead, we all had a big forehead at one point, this really helps. It helps frame the face, okay? It cuts off the forehead and it gives a very youthful appearance. So yes, hairline can definitely help. Here's another one from Ryan. He says, how does SMP work for facial hair? So I have my opinion. What's your opinion? Have you ever done beard SMP? Do you recommend facial hair SMP?
What do you mean, on the beard?
On the beard?
Well, I did like a couple of times, you know.
Yeah.
And it depends on the look of the guy, you know. If you always have a nice beard, mate, and you maybe missing something in little space, yeah, we can make it. But the thing is, you never can shave, mate. You never will have a clean face, because sometimes you need to be shaved, sometimes, you know. But it depends as well about the culture, you know. Some cultures, they needed use a little, you know, a little dark, you know, depends, because I saw that in England, but we see here, I did a guy, they have a little scar here, so I covered the scar. That's nice, great, man.
Yeah, we do scars. I'd say I don't do a lot of them. I don't recommend them unless, like Aldemar says, you keep a strong beard, or you always have that thick or colored 5 o'clock shadow, we call it, where you have very kind of strong facial hair. So even if you shave, you still have a little bit of color. Just remember, then you're never going to be able to play for the New York Yankees. Okay, they require you to shave, I believe, on the Yankees. But yeah, I do it for patches. Okay, little gaps within existing beards, little areas in the mustache. But I don't recommend, if you have a baby face, you're clean, and to add a full facial beard, I just don't think looks natural, and I think it's a little bit dangerous. So it is a case-by-case thing. You have to really be committed to that if you're going to do facial hair. And I've seen some great work on beards, so it is possible. But again, with those individuals that have strong facial definition on their hair. Let's see what else we have. Will oily skin affect anything? My answer would be it could just affect how many sessions you need. Oily skin sometimes does take an additional session to get that pigment to sit in the superficial dermis, in the dermis, and hold. Because during healing process, the oils can sometimes dilute or break down the pigment. So we can work with oily skin. I'm Italian. I got that greasy skin. So it does work. It just might take an additional session, additional work from your practitioner to get to hold. Does that sound right, Aldemar?
Yeah, it's fine, man.
Yeah. We work with all different types. You have people with dry skin, oily skin. We can work with all types. How does the color fade? What does it look like when it starts fading? What did you look like before I did your touch-up?
It's very light. I would say it's like gray-like. It's still natural, and like my point of view, always explain to the clients, we can go too dark, all right, from the beginning, because maybe later we look like different, and it's good if we start with the color, like not too strong, When you did my touch-up, before that, I was losing a little on the crown, all right, but I couldn't see my skin, and then for that reason, I asked for you touch-up, but the color was a gray light, was a nice still, but
Yeah.
But
I always compare it to if you can remember when you lose your hair, as you were starting to get thinner and thinner on the hair, you started to look a little more bald, a little thinner up top. It kind of is the same with SMP. 4, 5, 6 years after your sessions, you'll still have a color here. You'll still have a base. You'll still look like you have a shaved head, a buzzed head, but it might look a little thinner. You might start seeing a little bit of your initial pattern, the hair loss pattern, because more skin is starting to pop through and strengthen through the pigment because the pigment is lightening. And that's when it's time for a touch-up. And I feel that touch-ups are great, actually, because what it does is it creates new texture, a new pixelation, so to speak, on top of the slowly faded original treatment. So you get a little bit more of that dimension and layer. So I think touch-ups are great as long as you don't do them too often. And we make sure not to let you do them too often, because if you do them too often, then you're going to saturate the skin. But if you let it fade, and then we can create new texture on top, brilliant. Looks really good.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. We got so many questions, Aldemar.
Yeah, see, you have to read some of those. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm looking, guys, ask some questions in Spanish. We got a native Spanish speaker. You have to see when I have Spanish speaking come into the office. La línea, muy bajo, o alto, fuerte. I'm bad, but I do try. Let's see what we got. Oh, here's a good one from Samada Love. Is scalp micropigmentation considered a tattoo? You want me to go first?
Please.
I can answer that in two ways. One, from a government or jurisdiction standpoint, as far as licensing or the actual bureaucracy of it, most cities and states in the US consider it a tattoo in terms of the licensing that's required to get your tattoo license. However, what we are doing is fairly different from a standard or traditional tattoo in three big ways, okay? One, the equipment we use. And now while the equipment, we're starting to actually see some tattoo artists use these machines and needles now, but we're setting it at a different depth level. We're implanting or depositing the pigment at a much shallower, much less deep level than typical tattoos. We're at the top layer of the dermis. Let me see if I actually have something here. I think I left it up.
You got it?
Leave it up, but I'll show the skin structure that I have. Oh,
Yeah.
here it is. Beautiful. Let me share this real quick. 1 second, guys. Where is it? Let's see if you guys can see this. I'll
Perfect,
enlarge
man.
this. Can you see that?
Beautiful.
Beautiful. So this is a great diagram of what we are doing. And so pigment that we place is on the top layer of the dermis. And so it's very superficial. It's deeper than the epidermis because we don't want anything just to fade out. If we just scratch that initial part of the skin, it's going to fade. It's not going to hold.
Yeah.
With that said, we don't want to go too deep either. We go too deep, that's where you see things that look more traditional in tattoo. Not that tattoos look bad, they can look very, very good, but they tend to sometimes stain or migrate a little bit. And that's because they're going deeper down into the dermis. We're at the top layer, about 1.5 millimeters in. So our depth level is different than tattoos. The pigment is diluted much more than typical tattoos. We're not using typically any colors or any vibrant colors or pigments. We're using black pigment that we dilute. So it's much less concentrated. So it looks a lot less dark and cool tone. Okay, it contains that black or gray tone. And we're not shading, right, Aldemar? We're not like shading or drawing lines or anything. We're doing pointillism, where we're just creating tiny little deposits, right? Anything to add there, Aldemar? That sounds good.
I think sounds very good, mate. To be honest, the difference also is a different technique. That's the important thing. Different materials, different needles, different we say pigments. It's not too strong. Because I got tattoos on in my shoulder, but the tattoo was too deep, too dark. Obviously, I got one of those for 20 years, another one for 3 or 4 years. It's different ones. The pigment we use in it had to come had to be later, maybe coming a little light after years. That's the way it had to be.
Right. Yeah, we want this to actually fade out in a very soft way so that we can touch it up and you look good for another X amount of years. Okay. We want this to be the long-term treatment, and it is. Just for everyone's knowledge, Aldemar has had his for 35 years. He's currently 65.
That's great, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You look great because of the SMP.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
Aldemar is not 65, but he's had his treatment for like 11, 12 years. I've had mine for 10. I've done a touch-up about 4 years ago now. I'll probably do another one in 6 months to a year just to keep it looking fresh. But this is something that is a long-term treatment. We don't want you to just get it and then 5 years later can't do it. So we use the right pigment, we use the right depth level, we make sure that we're depositing the pigment in a safe and even way. Got some good questions here. Kirk Cooley, I believe that's the way we're going to do it. What are good shampoos and shine-free products? You should check out our skincare line. We have Follicle, it's great. We have a mattifying moisturizer, has some tea tree, has some aloe, willow bark extract to keep it looking not too greasy or oily. Shampoos, natural. I use actually a lot of soaps. I recommend like a light soap with maybe some tea tree or jojoba oil. What kind of shampoos do you use? Or you don't really care?
I use a normal shampoo, mate.
Yeah.
Normal shampoo for my body. I use a little bit on the head, and that's all, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to overthink it. Again, whatever is healthy for your skin, whatever your skin responds to is really going to be a good product for you. And yeah, check out our Follicle line. I'll type it here real quick. Follicle line.
Someone asked, who did you 10 years treatment? They asked for you, or they asked for me? Both, two man.
Well, I see. I had my treatment done originally in the UK over. We worked with his hair clinic. You did one of my sessions, I believe. I've had Damon as well. Yeah, Damon Ashcraft over there. Yeah. And then my touch up was done by my guys in New York. It was done by Ken, And I think my next one I'm going to do with Mike. Those are my guys over in New York. There's a question in español. Let me read it, see if I can do well here. Quiero saber si el tratamiento se puede pagar con tarjeta de crédito.
Por supuesto. Todos los tratamientos se pueden pagar con tarjeta de crédito, como quieras pagar. All the treatment they can pay with credit cards if they want it.
That's great.
That's a good one.
Very good. Yes, we take all different types of payment.
It's another remat. It's another Spanish here. I will say, dice, Aldemar, te felicito. Hicimos un curso con Matt, pero todos en Argentina piden con vos. Thank you very much. Gracias por tu observación. They say they did the course with you, girls from Argentina, and then they say,
yes.
In Argentina they say, Aldemar, where is you?
We have to do, wait for our South American scalper tour. We're coming.
Yeah, we can do a tour in South America. We can do a tour training people, you know, that would be a good one, you know, why not, you know, good one. We can program different countries like Brazil, like Colombia, like Argentina, Chile, a little tour like the singers, you know, but training, people.
We'll have fun and party. I see a lot of people asking for cost. Obviously, the best way to get a quote, it's very easy. I know Aldemar has it on his website or email. You just can go on his website. I'm sure there's a form there. You can submit your photos, any questions, and he can give you a quote that's personal to you. We do the same thing. You can go to our website. You can go to our social media, contact us that way, submit photos, because we need to see your photos before we give you a quote. With that said, we are transparent. We don't need to, you know, high pricing. In the US, I know Aldemar gets a little scared, but it's hard to say. But generally, most clients, depending on their hair loss, we're looking at between, in the US, this is US, okay, between $2,500 and $4,000, okay? That's a range. Obviously, the lower end is for guys that have minimal hair loss. The higher range is for guys that have scarring and very little hair. But in the US, you're looking at $2,500 to $4,000 for the treatment, which will include the 2-3 sessions. It's important to know when we're talking about price, what the comparisons are. I know here in the States, if you're looking for hair transplants, that a good one that has a good amount of grafts, you're looking closer to $10,000, $15,000, and you might have to do multiple, okay? And there's still a lot of upkeep with that. Hair systems, good hair systems that you know, when you're wearing hair, you're looking at a couple of thousand just to get the system, get it, you know, fitted right. And then you're looking at monthly maintenance of hundreds of dollars. So when compared to a lot of these other solutions, SMP is by far the more cost-effective solution, not to mention the look and the results and how, you know, in my opinion, how great of a treatment it is. But from a cost standpoint, it's actually, in my opinion, the most cost-effective hair loss solution out there. So again, send us your photos. We'll happily get you quotes. I'm sure in Spain, in euros, those prices are a little bit different. Aldemar is going to be doing a lot of free treatments. He said he wants to do free treatments for the next 6 months.
That's a wish, man.
Scalp Design said Apollo or Flux S. I have been using the Flux S. I love that machine, the wireless machine. I don't know if Aldemar, you've tried that one yet.
I use different one, but I want to try one like you use. That because a long time ago I asked to Damon Acroft in UK what he using it. He sent me some photos, so I need to try to use another machine, maybe, because sometimes it's like, you know, you are not married with that machine, but I want to use it more, you know, have the time to use the machine from, I don't know, the one you use in America, another one they use in Colombia. So I want to try it for, it's the same machine. So we have to find the way how to do the technique. That's the thing.
Yeah, I like trying new stuff, and that's where the industry has really grown a bit. Is we have, you know, tools that are now designed with scalp micropigmentation in mind, and needles that are really good for the skin we work on and the right depth level. So, but yeah, I'm currently using the Flux S. Love it. I love Microview products. I've been using FYT needles recently, but I've also in the past used Bishop. So yeah, I try a little bit of everything. Ivan asked a question in Spanish. I don't know if you could see it. I could read it for you. Let me read it. It's fun for me, I guess, right? ¿Cuál es el próximo país latinoamericano que la micropigmentación es más popular?
Okay, el próximo país latino. Bueno, yo diría que cualquier país de Sudamérica, esto está entrando de moda Pero vuelvo al mismo tema que cuando yo hice acá en España. Si se hacen bien los procedimientos, la gente no va a tener miedo en hacerse y que se vuelva popular. Me refiero en un buen diseño de línea, un buen color, que haga coherente con los laterales. Amigo, yo diría que, no sé, México está muy bien. También diría que Colombia, diría que Brasil está súper arriba, etcétera, etcétera. It's about which country will be like popular, like about the SMP. I can start saying about Mexico. Mexico, Brazil is too high level as well, and also Colombia, you know. But it's like the same example when I came here. If the technician or specialist do the good procedures, mate, the people will love this. You know, if they do by bad procedure, the people will scared about this. You know, that's the thing.
Right. Right. Yeah, this can work in any country as long as the practitioner is good and as long as the good work. And that's why we spend a lot of time on training. Both Aldemar and I have an extensive training program. I've been doing it for years. Aldemar is training those over in Europe. And we want to make sure that people are trained the right way. That way, the quality of work across the board is superb. So that nobody gets scared. So people see that it works, because where it goes wrong is when people don't put the effort or the training in and think they can do this by watching a YouTube video. As a disclaimer, you can't do this after watching this. We provide a lot of information, but you need to take a training. And then the work isn't done properly. And that stuff really shows, and people can see a bad job and say, oh, this isn't for me. So we want to elevate and improve the work and quality work globally. That way it's a great solution for, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. And I'm going to write this real quick. Craig is an excellent practitioner and trainer over in the UK as well. Practitioner and trainer for my friend. All right, guys, we're going to do a few more questions. I know Aldemar, what time is it over there? It's almost 6. That's way past his bedtime.
Yes, almost 6.
Someone asked, Janos and a couple of other people asked, how much time in between sessions, or how, if you're traveling, how many days should you expect? For me, we say our initial 2 sessions need to be at least 10 days. I prefer closer to 14 days between. And then a third session could be, again, another 10, 14 days after. Most clients, after 2 sessions, if you're getting it done by a seasoned practitioner, have a very completed look. It's either done or it's looking very done. And a third session is something that could be done months or even a year later. But if you're traveling, you want to leave at least 14 days to get those 2 sessions. So if you're traveling into Barcelona, Madrid, if you're going to the UK, if you're going out to LA, New York, Houston, and you're traveling, you need 14 days. Now, a lot of guys in the States, they'll do round trips. We'll fly in and out of New York same day. The treatment, for me, and I'm sure Aldemar, you're pretty quick too. It takes, most treatments only take me about 2 hours. So you can be in and out, you can fly in and out the same day. You can fly in the morning, bald, fly out at night with the look of hair. Right?
Yeah, I would say the same, like for every 3 months, depends on the alopecia area for work. I would say maybe a couple hours or 1 hour and a half. And between the first and second session, always I say 15 days, at least 20 days would be better. But if the client can stay, I would say 8 days in between. That's the time I use when I fly to Colombia, because I can stay longer there. So I do the procedure for about 8 days in between. For the third session, and the way when I see right now, we don't need the third session very, very close. So I would suggest after 3 or 6 months or more than that, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. It does depend on the client, but you can easily get your 2 sessions in within about 2 weeks, 20 days. A couple last questions here. We're starting to get our Spanish questions in. I'm happy to see that. Is it undetectable up close? When done right, this should be very, very undetectable. Okay, I'll just kind of show you a little bit of the old profile. It's got to be seamless. So my treatment is done through the top here, all through the top. This is my real hair on the side. We did a little bit on the profile. It's got to be blended right. There's so many things that we have to do as practitioners to make sure this looks natural. But I could tell you in my personal experience, I have never had someone that doesn't already know that this is what I do as a career ever think it's anything but my shaved head. And even when I tell people what I do for a career, they're like, well, do you have it? Oh my, I didn't know. So Yes, it is undetectable. Of course. Listen, of course, if you tell someone and then have them come within an inch of your head and you go, well, this is where I have hair and this is where I don't, they may be able to see that. Even then it's very hard, but we want to fool 99.9% of the people, and that's what this treatment's about. So you can trust that if you get it done right, which you will by any of us, this will be an undetectable and seamless look. And the same with you, Aldemar. Yours is blended in really nice as well.
Yes, obviously, depending about the light too, it's very important to understand that, always explain to the clients. For example, if you go to the sun absorbs the color. You can see it, you know? If you go to a very white lights, the color will be nice, but it depends on the lights, mate. To be honest, you know, when I shave in the morning, I love the look, you know? Also, depends as well how your skin look, you know? Every time your skin change the color, mate, you know?
Well, it doesn't change the color, but in certain lighting, it will look stronger than others, right? Because if you have an elevator light bouncing off your head, you'll still have color, but it's going to look a little lighter. This is true for anybody that shaves, that has a buzzed head. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm in light right now. You can see I still have it, but there's light, and that's normal. Yes, better late than never. You can definitely book with me in New York, not a problem. And yeah, I think there was one question from Conchi. Les quería preguntar, ¿utilizan los mismos pigmentos?
Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You understand the question, mate?
Not really, a little bit.
Yeah, they asked if we use the same pigment between Matt Iulo and Aldemar CAMPOS. Yeah, I would say we use kind of the same. Yeah.
It's the same makeup of the pigment. I think you use a different brand. Our brand is Follicle, which I need to send you some. But this is all the same type of pigment. We're all using that carbon pigment, okay? And it's just how we dilute it. Same method. I mean, we train the same. So
lo importante es cómo lo disuelves. Si utilizamos las mismas marcas. Esa es la pregunta para Conchi, que fue una de mis alumnas. Conchi, muchas gracias. Okay. I guess the lady asked, she was a student, you know, she was my student, and she asked me, she asked that, and she's happy with what I did in her beginning of this business, man. That's a good one. Yeah.
Guys, if you are a student, not a student, or you're doing scalp, check out our Follicle ink line. We do ship internationally. Aldemar, you're using the same, so I'm going to send you as a gift our pigment. Okay.
All right. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, you're welcome. Don't mention it. Okay. All right, everybody. I want to say do you have anything you want to answer there? You have a couple more?
No, it's a long one there. No, they say, we need people trying it the right way. All right. Can you read that one and answer that one?
Sure. Maria says, yes, we need people trained the right way. I've been seeing more SMP artists in my city after I was the first in 2016. She's in 2020 training. And yeah, there's some of our competitors are training quickly. Listen, that's the truth with any industry that is growing and growing fast. There's going to be people that take it and their craft seriously, and there's going to be people that are, to be honest, in it for the money. But the overall improvement, and maybe we end with this, Aldemar. We've been in this for over 10 years. We've seen the industry just go from tiny little clinics in Europe and UK to now every country, almost every city has somebody doing it, which is both amazing because it's more accessible for clients, and the quality has gotten so much better, for sure. We've learned, even I'm still learning, and it's definitely improved the quality, but with that does come due diligence. I always tell my clients that they need, and people looking into it, they need to really research, see a portfolio, and do consultations, right?
Yeah, I would say in Spanish, está muy bien que haya muchas empresas que hagan esto, es excelente. ¿Por qué? Porque esto se está expandiendo a nivel mundial. Son muchas cosas interesantes, ¿cierto? Cuando empezamos con más de 10 años atrás, esto era muy pequeño. Ahora, una explosión buenísima a nivel industria en el SMP, el sistema de micropigmentación capilar es excelente. No pasa nada que haya muchas personas. Lo importante es cuando nuestros clientes nos buscan, que empiecen a mirar y empiecen a observar cómo lo hacen, cuáles son los resultados que ellos buscan. ¿Ok? Realmente, si pensamos a nivel mundial, hay muchísimas personas que necesitan este procedimiento. Hay muchísimas personas con alopecia. Si me voy a España, en España hay creo que son 50 millones de habitantes, pongámosle 25 millones de hombres, a los cuales hay un buen porcentaje que sufren de alopecia. O sea, mercado y clientes es lo que tenemos. O sea, no se preocupen por las nuevas empresas que llegan, preocúpense por su trabajo que sea excelente. What I say, the little example is about Spain. Spain, like 60 million of people, maybe 25 million of men. I would say it's a big percentage of men that go alopecia. What I say, don't worry about the new companies they come in, worry about your job, how you manage to do a good procedure, how you manage to do a good touch up about your work, being artists in this business, and not worry about everyone coming, the new ones, well done for them, Many people around in Spain, talking about Spain, they do that nice course, they do courses in Italy, they courses with me, and I'm happy for them, because here in Spain, the business is growing, it's growing. It's as good. We have clients every day. We have many clients, it's a good one for the new companies, come on, well done, doing better every day, improve yourself, mates.
Yeah. Well said, Aldemar. I think this was really fun. We're going to do this again. I'm glad with so many people that that participated in this, and this is going to be up on our channel. If you missed part of it, it's going to be staying up on their YouTube channel. I'm going to send you over the video too, so you can add it. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for the questions, and we are excited about the continued growth of this. Aldemar is going to open more clinics throughout the world, right?
Yeah, that's the plan, mate.
You're going to work until you're 90.
Yeah, so maybe a little less than that, but yes, I'm planning to open a few more clinics around the world, mate. You wait for that. This is amazing planning. Maybe 2021. That's the year, mate.
It better be the year. 2020 was a tough one, but what is your website? Where can people find you?
Yeah, the website is like aldemarcampos.es. That's the thing.
aldemarcampos.es. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. And of course, you're on our channel. Please subscribe to Scalp Micro USA channel. We're going to continue to do these interviews and podcasts. Well, not podcasts. I like podcasts, but I think this is cool. We put a face to it. So we'll continue to do these live streams, and we continue to put out content. Everybody, thank you so much. Aldemar, I know it's getting late. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, hermano.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, hermano, mucho gusto. Un placer verte.
I miss you. Hopefully, we get to see each other soon, meet up in either Colombia or when I come over to Europe. So ciao. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Ciao.